Today we are reading about the Montgomery bus line boycott. We're going to start out with a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. from Expeditionary Learning Packet. Just a reminder before we get started that there are some phrases and some words that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. uses in reference to African American and Black people that we don't hear nowadays in general population. That does not mean that we are going to be using them in our classroom. If you have further questions, please reach out to me and we'll have a bigger conversation. This is something that we've talked about before, this is something we'll talk about again, but words change, conversations change, meanings of words change as we go throughout life, and as those words change, they sometimes no longer are used, and some of those words are in here. But we need to know and understand them and respect them, that in that time, they were not meant as disrespectful. So as Dr. Martin Luther King uses them without disrespect, so I use them here. Here's the quote, starting at the top of the page. For a number of years, the Negro passengers on the city bus line of Montgomery have been humiliated, intimidated, and faced threats on this bus line. Just the other day, one of the fine citizens of our community, Mrs. Rosa Parks, was arrested because she refused to give up her seat for a white passenger. Mrs. Rosa Parks was arrested, taken down to jail, taken from the bus just because she refused to give up her seat. At present, we are in the midst of a protest of the Negro citizens of Montgomery, representing some 44% of the population. 90% at least of the regular Negro bus passengers are staying off the buses, and we plan to continue until something is done. We are now going to be looking at some of the rules for riding desegregated buses, again starting at the top. Following their month-long bus boycott, the Black citizens of Montgomery, Alabama got word that the Supreme Court had decided in their favor and that the buses would have to be desegregated. The boycotters' organization, the Montgomery Improvement Association, circulated the following flyer to advise people on how to behave in order to maintain the movement's nonviolent character and enjoy a dignified victory. Integrated Bus Suggestions. Dated December 19th, 1956. This is a historic week because segregation on buses has now been declared unconstitutional. Within a few days, the Supreme Court mandate will reach Montgomery, and you will be reboarding integrated buses. This places upon us all a tremendous responsibility of maintaining, in the face of what could be some unpleasantness, a calm and loving dignity befitting good citizens and members of our race. If there is violence in word or deed, it must not be our people who commit it. For your help and convenience, the following suggestions are made. Will you read, study, and memorize them so that our nonviolent determination may not be endangered? First, some general suggestions. 1. Not all white people are opposed to integrated buses, except goodwill on the part of many. 2. The whole bus is now for the use of all people. Take a vacant seat. 3. Pray for guidance and commit yourselves to complete nonviolence in word and action as you enter the bus. 4. Demonstrate the calm dignity of our Montgomery people in your actions. In all things, observe ordinary rules of courtesy and good behavior. 5. In all things, observe ordinary rules of courtesy and good behavior. 6. Remember that this is not a victory for Negroes alone, but for all Montgomery and the South. Do not boast. Do not brag. 7. Be quiet, but friendly. Proud, but not arrogant. Joyous, but not boisterous. 8. Be loving enough to absorb evil and understanding enough to turn an enemy into a friend. And now for some specific suggestions. 1. The bus driver is in charge of the bus and has been instructed to obey the law. Assume that he will cooperate in helping you occupy any vacant seat. 2. Do not deliberately sit by a white person unless there is no other seat. 3. In sitting down by a person, white or colored, say, "May I?" or "Pardon me," as you sit. This is a common courtesy. 4. If cursed, do not curse back. If pushed, do not push back. If struck, do not strike back, but evidence love and goodwill at all times. 5. In case of an incident, talk as little as possible and always in a quiet tone. Do not get up from your seat. Report all serious incidences to the bus driver. 6. For the first few days, try to get on the bus with a friend in whose nonviolence you have confidence. You can uphold one another by glance or prayer. 7. If another person is being molested, do not arise to go to his defense, but pray for the oppressor and use moral and spiritual forces to carry on the struggle for justice. 8. According to your own ability and personality, do not be afraid to experiment with new and creative techniques for achieving reconciliation and social change. 9. If you feel you cannot take it, walk for another week or two. We have confidence in our people. God bless you all. The Montgomery Improvement Association, the Reverend M.L. King, Jr., President, the Reverend W.J. Powell, Secretary. Now that you have listened to Jackie Robinson's bus incident and you have read the Montgomery bus boycott and the rules, please fill out this Venn diagram, this compare and contrast diagram, talking about things that you've noticed about both events. Remember, things that are the same go in the middle, and things that are particular to one versus the other go on the sides. If you need help, raise your hand. Thank you.